question. Doug and I have both been addicted to Marvel Snap. I think you've played a little bit.
Have you played?
Oh, no, I'm a huge fan of Marvel Snap.
How much would you pay for cards that are similar to what you have in game? Would you pay for anything like that?
Look. So, man.
Hey,
How y'all doing?
Good to finally see you.
Yeah, in person. We've met in person, but
how are you doing?
Doing good.
How's the stream been going?
It's going well. You're on camera, by the way.
On camera.
What do I do?
You're used to that.
What do I do?
You don't wear the Kentucky hat.
What do I do with my hands?
I know. Put them down, put them down. Got the couch and everything, huh?
Yeah, man.
That's nice. How's the show been to y'all?
It's an okay show.
Yeah.
I don't know if you came to. You were at the previous Culture Closing last
I
year.
was.
You
Me,
can
remember?
sit down.
Yeah, me and remember?
Yeah, you were hanging out with Hammer.
Jeff. Hammer was with me. We spent a lot of time together. Went out to dinner.
Yeah.
But Jeff made me into some nice clickbait. $2 million Spider-Man card.
That's
Remember?
right.
I don't know if you want to start with that.
Did you know that they actually have a shoe contest today?
I did not know they have a shoe contest
They
today,
do.
but it looks like I found my competition in the shoe contest. Guys, this is Justin, and he's one of the preeminent Marvel card collectors in the world to a card that's probably now worth a couple $1 million, if not more. Absolutely incredible. Awesome. Appreciate it, Justin. Pleasure to meet you, man. Thanks for showing us that card.
Have a marvelous day.
How could I forget? Yeah, so this year it seems like it's maybe a step down from last year's show.
Yeah.
I'm not as impressed with the tables as last year, but it's just kind of what it is. Maybe there's a big show coming up in a couple weeks in Burbank.
When it comes to Marvel stuff, what are your thought process, or what's your thought on comic cuts?
That's like a loaded question for me. Because you know I have the comic cut, right?
Well, I know you were searching for one of the Spider-Man ones, right, for a while. Like
well, I got it.
Did you?
Yeah, here, I'll show you. Yeah, I got it. Can I use your table?
Yeah.
Let's see it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
See, the border on that is just so fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, this is number to 15. But you know, they're really all one of ones because each panel is different.
Yeah. Banana's a really nice one too.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing's insane.
Well, there's only one more panel before this one where Spider-Man shows himself in the suit. In fact, this actually was dropped off yesterday at CGC.
Yeah.
A friend of mine has it. But this is what I was chasing. This is what I wanted, and I was
so
very
good.
grateful to have it.
That's so good.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. The panel's from 62.
Yeah.
Even though it's a newer card, it still harkens
Yeah.
back. Like, this is the first ever Spider-Man card, but it's 66. So,
I bought
Thank
this
you.
one.
no, I'm kidding. Mark Bagley. There we go. That's what I wanted to see.
So tell me about that. Like, what's the thought process? Flip that back over. Tell
What
me
am I
about
looking for?
Yeah, what are you
First of all, the first thing I'm looking for, just because of the numbering, most of the comic cuts are like number 40 out of 40, out of 45, out of 50. So you to have this issue, if people want to collect a cut from every issue, this one has less of them because it's 30. That's just a side note thing, right?
Yeah.
But I'm looking at who the artist was. It's Mark Bagley, and I'm looking to see what issue. Okay. But the fact that it's Mark Bagley and you get a really beautiful profile.
Yeah.
And they did actually a good job centering the panel.
Exactly.
Like, they were really thoughtful about it.
I saw that on eBay and was like, I have to get this as a comic cut.
You mind me asking? Do you remember what you paid? It's okay if you don't.
I actually want to say I got it for like $60.
Yeah, I think you did. I think you did great. For me, for someone who wants, I actually want a Spider-Man cut from every comic cut. Like, this would have been probably like one of the ones to have out of that one.
And
All right, show me the Miles.
Oh yeah, so this is the Miles, my Z-Force out of I think it's the Rave out of 23.
Out of 25. It's
25. I got that in one of his breaks.
23 of 25. Out of whose breaks?
Me.
His.
I pulled that.
The best part was he's like, hey, do you want to get into the Spider-Man metal break? And I was like, I don't have any. I don't know if I want to get into it because I don't have any money right now.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll float you.
Yeah.
Floated. All right. So, you know what the 1-on-1 sold for of this card?
No.
25,000.
Did it?
Yeah.
So I was actually just the other day trying to comp it because I said like I'll try to bring it to Culture Collision.
Yeah.
See if anybody's interested in it, but I don't even know how to comp it. And one of the questions that I have is, you know, we can sort of reverse engineer some stuff, but you know, whether it's comparing it to other rave out of 25 is an option, or which I haven't seen another one of these sell. I haven't seen one of the out of 25 sell. So then I don't know what type of character I should compare him to.
Understood. Okay. Great questions. First of all, you're at SCI. You know how to comp stuff.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes.
All right. The second part, when you're like, okay, let's say it's a rare card and there's not a lot of sales of them.
Yeah.
Right. So doing a comparable analysis with historical sales data become difficult.
Yeah.
You want to understand the character in Marvel's space. Miles Morales is really interesting because he is Spider-Man. To say he's a version of Spider-Man actually is not correct. He's not the Spider-Man of like Peter Parker.
Sure.
But he's the Spider-Man really of the future. You know the truth. Miles is a little bit like saying, okay, well, if Jordan is Peter Parker, Spider-Man is Michael Jordan. Miles is like LeBron James. Okay.
Yeah.
So that'd be kind of like the sports analogy comparison. The thing is, the difference between like the LeBron James comparison.
So you're telling him to comp that out of a LeBron James of 25?
What I'm telling you is, well, what I mean is
but that makes sense.
in the Spider-Man tier, he's second. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. But he has like the most upside in terms of where he might end up from a historical importance.
Yeah.
Meaning that right now, what do we have from Miles from a mass public standpoint?
Yeah.
He's very well known in the comic books. Hands down, the first appearance of Miles is the modern comic to have. Okay.
Yeah.
Without question. Second is this: he's had one movie.
Yep.
He's had one
But
movie.
he's gonna get more.
It's animated. Gonna get more.
Yeah.
He's had one video game. I'm pretty sure that's the case.
I think so.
One video
One or
game.
like 1.5. I think he might make an appearance or something in the one prior
One
to
of
it.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that, he already has great appeal. Okay. So then the question becomes like, what happens when Miles Morales ends up in a live-action movie?
Yep.
And you have that base of younger people because the video game and the fact that it was animated captured the hearts of a lot of younger people. Meaning, when you talk about that nostalgia factor down the road that really drives like why 90s rare stuff sells well,
Yeah.
like it's probably going to be more Miles than maybe even to some degree Peter Parker. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Peter Parker is always going to be Peter Parker.
Well, he's established as like the original Spider-Man.
He's
right?
cross-generational.
So, yeah, so he can't really probably be unseated from that.
Yeah, like Michael Jordan, whether you were 40, 50 when you watched him for the first time, or whether you were 5 and 15 when you watched him, people still, that's Peter Parker. But Miles has that chance of like being a generational collector thing. So then you go back to the set. Spider-Man Metal is a mid-tier set in the Marvel world.
Sure.
But it does have a sports insert, so you have greater appeal outside of it.
Yeah.
You actually can tell me what Z-Force means more in the sports world than I can.
Yeah.
It is parallel. So rarity is, how do you see rarity? Is it the numbering or how many times this image shows up? Okay, so you have the 1 of 1 out of 25, 62, and 100.
Yes.
So the image itself is not insanely rare. I would, if I'm comping this, I'm putting this with the Venom and the Spider-Man if I have an out of 25 sell. Okay. If not, then you're going to have to go look at like, hey, what is maybe the out of 25 orange Miles selling for?
Yeah.
And then maybe add a little bit of a multiplier because it's a sports insert, right? Maybe go to the out of 50 sell, but even then, this is the part that gets a little tricky with Marvel. Is the art here is better than the art that ended up on the base cards. So this is the better Miles card to have out of the Spider-Man Metal set.
Yeah.
So
I want to say that a 62 has sold, and I just hadn't got into doing the math to create the correct price ratio quite yet.
So here's what's interesting about the 62. Being there's 25, there is enough to build a set, but because the Spider-Man is expensive, the Venom's expensive, I think a lot of people are stepping back trying to build the 62. And so that becomes like demand. Like there actually may be more demand for the 62 than the 25 in a sense. So you got to pay attention to that. But that's really nuanced. I think you have a great card. I would say if you could sell other stuff, I might would actually hang on to this for a little while.
So then, one question that I have in terms of grading. Obviously, there are going to be players like Michael Jordan, for example, or like LeBron James, where if you have any short printed card, one thing that you'd want to consider is basically grading anything. As long as it's not going to be a card that comes back as like a 4. So this does have some edging damage along the bottom, and I think along the, I want to say along the side.
So here's the thing.
So it won't gem. So what do you think a threshold on an iconic character, low numbered, would potentially be when you're looking at grade?
All right, so grading's an interesting conversation, right? Especially with Marvel. Some people are still anti-grade in the...
They want it all raw.
Well, they're just not there yet, you know?
You're there though.
I'm here because I enjoy it. Like I want to show you these cards. If this wasn't graded, like I'm a lot more nervous bringing it to you, right? Obviously, when it tins, that adds the element to it. I didn't care what grade this got in a sense, but it tinned. But I think with grading, if it's a card that's not going to become part of like maybe like a junk era slab. You know what I mean? I do think that's going to happen in the future. We'll look and we'll go back and go, wow, we graded everything. We shouldn't have ever put that in a slab. But I think for this stuff, I do think it is important. And so with a card like that, the first thing I'm asking myself is, are there gems in that set? Like, what is the gem rate? Well, the gem rate on something like that's probably 3 to 8%. I haven't fact checked that, but I'm just saying it's not low, it's not easy. And now I'm asking myself, will it do better than 7?
Just like immediately glancing at that card, I would probably say because of the edging damage on the back, it's not going to gem for sure. Best case scenario is they say small edging damage on a card that's full bleed with no clear border on the back, maybe at 9s, more realistically at 7s or 8s.
Well, and some companies, I believe, pay attention to the actual quality, like hey, this set is actually like this prone to the back chipping. It's on the back, the front center, it presents well, it's clean. I'll give it the 8 rather than, dock it down.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, especially we see it with Marvel more than traditional sports, a lot more of these full bleed cards. So maybe they will look at that and say, well, all of these cards that have come through have all had edging damage in the same spot. Maybe it's an issue with general quality control, unless so you got a poor quality or a great quality.
I'm not a grader. I grade cards, but I just take it and send it. Like I don't do prep and look and.
Oh really?
Yeah, I'm not there in my life. I don't have the time for it, to be honest with you.
Time consuming.
If I like it and I want it, I grade it.
Are you fully on like the CGC train now?
So here's the thing. I'm not only on the CGC train, like I help put the coal in the engine. I set all aboard. I've pulled the horn.
How much of like the continuity between the labels was a factor for you?
Well, I mean, here's what I wanted. Just being blunt and transparent. I wanted someone who like understood it and appreciated it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, and I'm just gonna be real. It's not that I can't speak for PSA because they haven't talked to me. But if I send them this, they probably don't make 2 reels out of it and put it on their channel and interview me about it, right? But that's what happened with this because they understand it. So I think when you have something like this actually historically important to the character, I think CGC is a substantial choice. And I don't know how much time you've spent with a CGC slab. It's just...
They're really nice slabs.
Very
They
nice.
have a good feel to it. They're very crystal clear, so it's more emphasis on the card. They've done improvements on their label to make it not so overbearing.
Right.
Historically, some older, especially with CSG in sports, the label was so huge it felt like it was taking up so much real estate. They've made a lot of improvements there.
They have. You get the opportunity for subgrades. You don't have to do it. I think that's a nice mix for people. The other thing is, like, if you're a Marvel card fan, there is the possibility that you are a comic book fan. So this, it's the same label. And the same plastic, I believe, that they're using for the comic book. So there's that appeal. I've seen the community they've taken to it. Like they've said, you know what? I like the way this looks, it feels. I'm going to do it. So So a lot of people in my world is grading with CGC.
I like it.
It's not to say anything negative. I mean, that looks fantastic.
Yeah,
does it not?
Yeah.
In fact, I'll go ahead and say that's probably the most expensive Marvel card ever purchased in a CGC slab here. And it looks great in the black, but I just think for me, a lot of it's going to be CGC, but I'll mix it up.
I wonder too how much of the dynamic is. I feel like a lot of sports people came back into the hobby, and then Marvel started to blow up because people are just like, well, what do I also like?
Yeah.
And then they get more into Marvel, and it becomes a lot less about the institutional norms that used to exist. And then now people look at, it used to be, well, you got to go with PSA for ultra modern. You should consider SGC for vintage.
Yeah.
Now I think there's a lot more people that are like, screw it, I want to do whatever I want whenever I want. And if I like my comics graded with CGC, I want the continuity. I don't really care about the potential secondary market value of it. If it's in my collection, I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want.
I want to talk about this for a second because I'm going to use the word greed. There's a negative and positive sense of that.
How dare you?
But people are going to, on a large scale, people are going to do what makes them the most money, creates the potential for that. So PSA has dominated in that sense.
Yep.
But here's the other thing. If I put a sign right here and it said, don't spit, what would we find by the sign?
Oh, I'm going to spit all over.
Like, you instantly, like the saliva builds in your mouth, like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
So when you say I have to grade with PSA, you're starting to build, like, it's like actually a poor psychology, right?
Sure.
And people are going to start to say, you know what, I want to do what I want to do. And if the money starts to make a little more sense in a different slab, and it's my choice, I think people are going to do that.
Yeah.
And I think in the Marvel community, Marvel cards were not graded much 2 years ago. Okay, you come into the space and all you hear is you have to do PSA. I heard it, I understood it, I respect it, right? But then now this CGC pops up and goes, hey, now I have a choice.
Yep.
So naturally, it's my natural decision to say, no, don't tell me what to do. I'm gonna do what I want to do. So I do think there's some of that psychology going on.
And I actually have another question for you about comic cuts.
Yeah.
So obviously the one that you got has a lot of like historical significance. So for something like this, what goes into your thought process between it's a great panel versus it came from a great book? Because that's been some of the pushback that I've seen online with the quote-unquote like hype over some of the comic cuts as well. It's a great looking panel, but it's like a $30 book, so who really cares?
Well, I think anytime you're buying a collectible, is it historically significant? Is it rare?
Yep.
Is it condition sensitive? Is it aesthetically pleasing? And you're looking at all those factors. Look, you can eliminate a few of those and still have something that you really enjoy.
Yeah.
So if it's aesthetically pleasing, that can be enough for me if it's a character I want, for me to make a purchase, forget anything anybody else says.
Yeah.
If you're able to hit all of those, historically significant, rare, hot, top condition, and it's aesthetically pleasing, then you've hit, you've got something, you got a Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
That's what you got.
I think it's sort of similar to memorabilia cards.
By the way, hold on. Not like in the value. I mean, that's what that card has in its elements.
Sure, yeah.
That's what I mean.
I think it's sort of similar to traditional memorabilia in sports, where like you could get a signed jersey of like Trae Young, probably for like a few $100, but once you condense it down into the card, we're starting to talk about like a patch auto. Now we're getting into like 4 figures, right? Even though you could go for the full jersey for a lot less, or you get the condensed version that sits on your shelf, and all of a sudden there's a huge premium on that, right?
Well, one thing that I constantly remind myself, it's the stuff that no one wanted that becomes the thing that everybody wished they got.
Yeah.
When you're like in the Marvel card space, like, oh, everybody has 90s stuff, right? Well, there's a chance that there's a few elements of that maybe are really condition sensitive, that no one really cared about, that actually are kind of special that pop up. There's an era of Marvel cards from 97 to 2011. Like, if I quiz people out here, they probably don't even know what came out during that time frame. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out over time. and the stuff that everybody wanted, especially up front, like that dies down.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like comic cuts, who knows, man? An artist passes away and they did that art, right? What's going to make those things more popular in the future?
And what do you think about stuff like some of the stickers? I want to say that there's like stickers from 1986 and stuff like that. We've seen stickers gain a lot more popularity stateside for sports.
Yeah.
It's always been big internationally.
Yeah.
There's always trading cards in the U.S., stickers internationally in Europe, and then it started to become a little more popular. Now we're seeing that with. Do you think that's?
It's a great question.
Become more popular with Marvel.
Well, so here's the thing. Marvel started out from a trading card standpoint to be more of a novelty than a collectible. So you see in the early stuff stickers, right? So I kind of like scoffed at it because I'm like, if it's not a trading card, I don't want it.
Yeah.
But now, like, I'm starting to realize, okay, maybe that actually is a little more important than I realized. But I try to hold like a narrow view of what a trading card is, even though I know people like it scales differently.
Sure.
But stickers I think are important, especially since from 1966 to say 87, mostly what you see there is stickers from Marvel.
And what do you do? So Doug has a really cool collection, and that he will match the full-size book with some of the cards.
We've talked about that a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It's my McFarlane obsession, right?
Yeah.
So I'll get a slab of comic of a great Todd McFarlane cover, and then I'll find the card from like 89 or 90 or 91 and match it. Which is where I would love to have them in CGCs. They're all in PSAs, but I would love to have that continuity. But yeah, I've been matching McFarlane cards with the exact cover art, for the comic it came from.
Yeah, for me, because a lot of what I enjoy about the cards was sourced out of the comic book originally.
Yeah.
I absolutely am doing that. I want that. Yeah. I think it's easy, right? It's like, hey, and what's cool about it with the comic cuts, we're grading the comic book so we can only see the cover. The comic cut allows us to still enjoy some aspects of the interiors,
really cool.
even though it's encapsulated.
How much of a premium do you put on like the border around the comic cut? How much does that matter?
I mean, it matters. Like,
I think this is super cool, but this just had like the amazing fantasy.
Yeah, that's almost distracting in comparison to that.
Yeah, on some I do enjoy this, but like when you have such a beautiful, solid, almost monochromatic panel, this mix of color takes away from it.
I definitely think that border would look better with this.
Yeah.
But I also sort of think it is a little busy here.
Yeah.
And just when you have such a great panel, it's like not overwriting the story.
Yeah.
Sometimes the story can just be very basic and still very good, and you don't need to do too much.
That's what we're talking about. The panel here still stands out.
Yeah.
That you have. Sure.
What do you think about, I can't remember what set it is, but it's the Spider-Man comic cuts, and it's the mask, and it's like the comic cuts within like the eyes.
Oh, that's from 2017. Super underrated. Great books in there. There's not AF-15, but I have one of the cuts of the first Doc Ock.
Yeah.
And the borders of that are really good, and like you said, you get almost this die cut, double, like you get a double cut where you have two eyes of Spider-Man. Like it's just it's a cool set. People are not familiar with it because when 2017 released, you had hundreds of people buying that product, not thousands, right? So it's a little different. But I do think if you feel like you're priced out of Spider-Man metal comic cuts, you might go look at 2017.
Yeah.
A lot of the good stuff has already been put into collections, so know that you may not find the good stuff, but it's a good choice.
I sort of felt like it was a good bridge when I haven't bought any of it yet, but I thought it was a good bridge in that it had, because it was the mask, it had a little bit of that classic feel, and it was a little busier, but not quite like as much as this border here.
I like the oval myself because I'm not a horizontal card guy.
Yeah.
I like a vertical card. That's just a weird thing for me. I mean, I have some horizontal cards I love, don't get me wrong. But if I'm buying a comic cut panel, I kind of want to go vertical.
Yeah. And what do you think, one thing that we've talked about from like an investment standpoint, I know you're a collector more than anything, but when you're looking at purchasing stuff, what amount of it, if at all, do you spend thinking about movies that are coming out? Or when we talk about like Miles Morales has had great media already, but it's thinking about his long-term potential. Do you think think about that at all? Like, we're gonna have an Ant-Man movie coming up. Are you? I mean, maybe you're not an Ant-Man guy.
I love Ant-Man. I love the movies for Ant-Man.
Is that something where you're gonna be like, new movies coming out? I think I want to buy some Ant-Man.
I think that it's some. This is hard for me because, for me personally, I think it's a bit of a miss to spec on a Marvel character because a movie's coming out. I don't think we've really seen that take root.
Yeah.
Okay. In the same way that, we have a first-round pick QB going to a classic team with a big fan base. It makes a lot of sense to go ahead and buy into that and see what happens. I just don't see that. Maybe that changes in the future, but I think Marvel cards is a trading card, is a collectible, so there's some use in looking at it like sports cards. But I actually think it needs to have its own way in which you decide what you're buying and what you want to own and how you might want to exit it one day.
Yeah.
So I think doing kind of the rookie spec stuff, like, and using movies to do that, that's not going to be great because you're counting on Disney having the best script, a new actor or actress that's going to not only blow up in that movie, but go on and blow up in other movies. And
That's the thing, yeah.
There's so much tied to it. How many Robert Downey Jr. moments is Disney going to create?
That's true.
I think for that to work also, it's got to be a brand new character that we haven't seen in the cinematic universe yet. Because for the people that do only have exposure to the cinematic universe, and that's what their decisions are based off of, seeing Ant-Man for the fourth time isn't going to make them want to go buy Ant-Man. It's got to be a character that's brand new to them, that they've never seen before, that strikes something within them that makes them then want to go seek that card out. So
I do want to add some caveats to this, okay? So we're specifically talking about the comic book art.
Yes.
Okay? Now, let's use Iron Man for an example.
The best.
The best, has a beautiful story arc, right? Retired, so to speak. The Iron Man cards don't sell anywhere near Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man hasn't actually, he's had good movies, but it didn't have the last 10 years that Iron Man's had necessarily. All right? But look at the on-card autos as it relates to the actors in product like Black Diamond.
Yep.
We got Marvel Allure. That's different. I think that lives in a different space. Yet the cards are the movies, so that definitely has a direct impact. And you take somebody like Robert Downey Jr. who doesn't sign anymore. When he does sign, it's for charity. It's $700-800 a signature.
Good
Okay?
Lord.
So you can't pull it out of a pack. And Upper Deck's not going to pay him $800 to do a set of cards. So
knowing that for like Panini, the average is like $6 per signature.
Imagine asking RDJ that. He's too busy. He made $50 million a movie the last few movies or something crazy like that. Now, what he did back in Rittenhouse in the 2000s, like for Iron Man 2, those cards sell for 5 figures because that's basically it for right now. So the MCU product itself, it does have, the movies will have an impact. They do have an impact. Black Diamond is a beautiful product, really well done by Upper Deck. That's actually, if you're looking to, it's hard for me to say this, but if you're thinking of Marvel-like sports, Black Diamond is probably your space that you want to be in, and because it has an exquisite feel to it and all that kind of stuff. That's probably where you want to do that.
I think Doug and I are both pretty aligned on, we are very much not into the movie-related things.
I'm not at all.
I don't
Pure
care
comics
about,
for me.
Even though we're both big sports guys, the screen or like the grabs from the actual movies, I have no interest in. The reason that I think we probably both do love Marvel is the artwork aspect of it. If that's the aspect of sports cards that we don't have, and then I think part of that too is maybe why things like Kaboom have.
I'm gonna say you don't have it in Kaboom and the Color Blast in the Mickey Mantle. When you see it, it actually does help carry the product. At least from my limited perspective.
Here's another question. Doug and I have both been addicted to Marvel Snap. I think you've played a little bit.
Have you played?
Oh, no, I'm a huge fan of Marvel Snap.
How much would you pay for cards that are similar to what you have in game? Would you pay for anything like that?
Look, if I could have
some of the variations of the art in the game are amazing.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with the fact that it's original art.
Yeah.
Some of it's digital, some of it's not. I have a friend that's already bought some of the original art.
Oh,
okay?
Yes. I didn't know that. Now I gotta go find it.
All right. You're probably mad that I just put that on camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can edit that. Only I will know.
Here's the other thing. Imagine if Upper Deck said, you know what? we want to print this to the moon. For 20 years from now, when you go to a card show, we want it to be the 90MU of this generation.
Yeah.
Where it's just everywhere,
Yeah.
right? There shouldn't be a Walmart, a Target, a GameStop that I could walk into right now that I wouldn't find Marvel Snap. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's great art. All age ranges are playing it.
Yep.
It feels like it's only getting started. They haven't even released the ability to say, like, I want to play you right now.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, you can go look at their roadmap, but there's so much more. We're almost in a beta stage, essentially.
And
Exactly.
they've created the blueprint too when it's upgrading your cards, where you could have the base set that's playable printed to the absolute moon.
I'm not even talking about doing a playing set. I'm talking
Yeah.
about just doing an art comic set, Marvel card set. If they then add a TCG element to it,
That'd be difficult because of all the locations that are random
I
every
think
match.
I heard that there's a commitment to
all
not
ultra-
do that,
ultra,
by
yeah.
the way, to not do a physical version of the set.
I would say that's right.
I think they want to completely play out the digital experience, let that die, and then maybe do something. That's just speculation on my part. But yeah, just a true comic book. I mean, not comic book, a true Marvel card set with a couple of different parallel. It doesn't have to be rare, but I mean, my nephews, I should be able to go, hey, your uncle here wants to give you a Marvel card set of Marvel Snap, which you play on the game. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Here's a little binder.
Yeah.
Finish the collection.
Yeah.
I just think that would be incredible if they did that. And I don't think they're going to do it.
We'll have to see. But
Bit of a missed opportunity. Those things would be really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, do you not like money? That's like where my brain goes. Like, who doesn't like money? Let's do this. All right, guys, man.
Good to see you, man.
Really good to be with
see
you, Doug.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Thanks for hanging out. SCI, check them out.